Hey Rebels, my name is Matthew Barton. Welcome to the Rebellion Brewing Podcast. Saskatchewan and Manitoba have always had a lot in common as prairie provinces, and they've always had a bit of a sibling rivalry. Trading playful shots over football or geography, it's just natural. And as much as we like to poke fun at each other, we also know when we work together, we can do great things. Matt Wolff is the operations manager and a brewer with Torque Brewing. They're based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. He joins us today to talk about the recent collaboration brew called Frenemies. So let's get into it. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me.
How's it going, bud?
Not bad, not bad. You know how the brewery life is. It's in the summertime when the sun shines, you got to make hay, right?
It's go time.
Yeah, go.
I mean, I guess you're also getting a bunch of new hops and a new barley for the new season coming in pretty quick. You must be getting a lot of interesting emails and orders for new stuff.
You know, it's an exciting time of the season because you're getting approached by so many suppliers, and hey, we got stuff rolling out. We got new products, we got new crops, new everything. So it's an exciting time. You got to sit down and kind of plan, your entire year. And we were just talking about it this morning of what's going to be new for us for 2023. So yeah, it's exciting times.
For the benefit of some of my audience who might not know who or what Torque is, can you give me a little bit of the founding story?
For sure. So myself, I've been in the industry for 21 years now. I started off, when I was 18. Craft brewing in Manitoba had just sort of got off the ground, and I just got out of high school, didn't know what I was going to do in my career. I started with the breweries, Two Rivers Brewing, Fort Garry Brewing, and then, as my career progressed, what was the next phase? And at that time, the home brewing movement was going pretty strong. I had some friends in the home brewing biz, and I said, hey, let's do something. We had changed legislation here in Manitoba about 8 years ago that incorporated tap rooms, which at that time for a craft brewery wasn't all that legal. So they changed some legislation, interest started pouring in. I wanted to do something sort of to branch out. Had some partners, Adam Olson, Phil Bernard, and Jill, and we basically started Torque. So Torque, as of this August, we celebrated our 6th anniversary, so 6 years in the industry. I know it's a couple years shy of Rebellion. Yeah, thank you. It's been, it's been fun. You had all the interest and the hype of the growth of the industry, and then you had COVID come down for 2 years. So it's been a very interesting 6 years, but it's been great nevertheless.
What was the very big thing that happened to you this year? I kind of wanted to touch upon it.
You know what? I think for all breweries as a whole is having no restricted summer. Being able to get back into full swing of production. For the past 2 years, we haven't had any draft or keg sales really because of all restrictions and having what we call our licensees sort of basically 25% or no percentage because of COVID. So it's great to see that the industry is rebounding, that our volumes are getting back to where they were. And it's great to see the industry as a whole starting to do collaborations and things again. That's been the greatest part of this summer, was just being able to do a collaboration finally and going out and seeing people you haven't seen in, 2.5 years because we've had some things happen to us.
You guys also had, you had a lot of big success with Redline Ale too.
Yeah, actually this year, we had never really entered the World Beer Cup. For World Beer Cup, I believe is every 2 years. So there's been 3 of them. We never really got into sort of like the international awards. And this year we said, what the heck? Let's throw in a couple beers, see what happens. And lo and behold, we win an international award along with Rebellion in the same category. It's fantastic. So massive highlight of that. I had over the past couple of years, we've gone into the Canadian Brewing Awards, and we've had success, especially with the Redline. But the international one is fantastic. So it really, started something between Rebellion and Torque because of that one award.
I would say of your entire lineup that I've tried, Redline is the one I always want to go back to. It's the one I like the most.
It's a staple. It's one of the original beers. When we started 6 years ago, we only had 4 beers. Redline was one of them. We had our Hellas or Witty. We had our Diesel Fitter and American Stout and the Redline. And it's always been a very strong volume for us. It's been a staple that we've had. And it's simplicity in the way that it's designed. It's not a regular IPA or anything like that. And it really stands out.
I'm going to apologize to you. I'm still kind of sneezy. So if you see me pull back and sneeze a bit, I was wandering through barley fields yesterday for harvest, getting footage, and I've
been a little fuzz up the nose.
It's everywhere. It's like down my neck. It's in my shoes.
I've
had a shower. It's still itchy.
Yeah, I remember, being younger and helping out some neighbors because I live outside of the city, sort of the countryside, and being younger, here's a little N95 mask, go start shoveling a grain bin. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I got you. Come out all itchy and sneezy. I know exactly what it's like.
I don't get as itchy when I walk into our grain room, as that field, like something else going on.
Yeah, you know what? When the barley is malted, it's a completely different ingredient at that point. And it doesn't have the same effect. Our brewers still wear respirators and everything, but it doesn't have that itchiness, because of the steeping and everything like that. I guess it washes it off. There's not a lot of dust at that point, but
I guess the main reason we're here today is to talk about our brand new Frenemies beer. You gotta start me at the beginning. How did this all come about?
Do you know what? From my recollection, there were some beers involved. We have to start off with that. There were some beers involved when this all started down, and a couple months back, we had the Prairie Beer Awards, and through the Prairie Beer Awards, Rebellion and Torque, we were talking, because we had just won this international award with we're beer cup in the same category. We thought it'd be time, and especially restrictions being lifted off, that we get together and do something. We get to, see what we have available, something that hasn't been done either ever before or hasn't been done in a long time. So really the idea started propagating from us just meeting and finally having beers together. And what we came up with is doing something kind of like a mashup, not a mash brew, but basically taking 2 different styles of beers that we already had in our sort of repertoire and kind of mashing them together into sort of a new beer. And it really started spawning Frenemies, because again, like you said, we're kind of siblings. We're prairie provinces side by side. We're only a jaunt away. It's not, a 16-hour drive or anything like that. We're only a few hours away. So we started collaborating the ideas, and one of them that really hit home was, we got the Labor Day Classic, and then we have the Banjo Bowl. They're 1 week apart, and sort of the biggest rivalry that we have between our 2 provinces is this, our teams. So it really started morphing into something a little bit more. And one of the interesting things is I remember seeing the original artwork, the ideas that started getting bouncing for this, and it just turned into something amazing. Between the artwork and the ideas of mashing 2 of our brews together, it was a great idea. And so the 2 brews that we finally came up with is our Witty Belgian. So our Witty Belgian was one of our original brews that we had since we started. And we had the Rebellion Zilla. And the idea was to take all the key components of our 2 beers and just basically fusing them together and coming up with a brand new beer. And, we took hops from Zilla, we took the grains from Witty, and we just morphed it together, and it turned out to something that shocked everyone.
We don't do a lot of Belgian yeast brews here. We don't use lots of Belgian yeast.
Yeah, see, with us, we... one of the only Belgians that we do is our Witty Belgian, and originally it was a 3944 yeast strain, and it's changed over the years a little bit just to get more localized ingredients, but it's still a repitchable yeast strain that we use. It's not dry yeast or anything like that on our side, and it really cuts through it. It's a really nice balance, not high in phenolics or anything like that. But it gives you still that Belgian essence, and it's really great that we find for our Witty Belgian. And so one of the key components, right? And then same thing with the hops. when we had the opportunity to come out to Rebellion a few weeks back for one of the brews, was the hops. And actually, it's something we touch base on a little bit later is, our brewing techniques. And this is an amazing part of this brew was, we have two different brew houses. The beer was brewed, one batch was brewed in Winnipeg, one batch was brewed in Regina. And we have different brewing setups. We have different brewing techniques. So one of the things was the amount of whole hops that were used on the Rebellion side compared to the pelletized hops that we're using on the Torque side. But it's amazing how even with that different technique, the similarities of beer still stays the same. The essence of that beer is just fantastic. And one of the best things was we were able to take some beer home from Rebellion after the brew was done, and we were able to sample them side by side, and they're great. Absolutely fantastic.
I know people from Regina who specifically went out to Winnipeg to go pick up that beer so they could come back and have them both side by side.
Yeah, have them side by side and try them. And we did the same thing.
When it comes to memories, I mean, you were hanging out for hours in our brew space, hanging out with Neil.
Yeah.
You were working with the hop back. I got a TikTok of it all put together.
Yeah.
It did really well on TikTok. I kind of wanted to ask you, what's your favorite memory from that kind of experience?
You know what? It was the entire day. The hospitality that we had from everyone at Rebellion, from Neil, from Vanessa, yourself, the entire gang on the packaging line, taproom staff, Mark, you name it. Everyone was just so open and welcoming to us being there and the opportunity of doing this collaboration. I think the entire day was the aspect that I'm really going for. We did a lot that day. We brewed the batch of beer. We were doing social media content. Camilla, who's my general manager, she came out with us. She had never gone to Regina before, or Rebellion for that matter. So really just the opportunity to be with, another local brewer, even though we're from different provinces, we're, only a few hours apart. It was just the opportunity to be with, another company, another set of brewers, another brewery, and just having a great time, having a couple of beers, talking about what's happened over the past couple of years and the opportunities that are going to come from doing this one collaboration. There's lots of other ideas that have spun off already because of this.
And then Stephanie came and visited your crew when you guys were brewing, and she got some photos of you.
We were happy to have Stephanie come down. So when our batch of Frenemies was ready for packaging, she was here the day of the packaging. So she was able to pick up our version to bring back to Rebellion so we can do the side-by-sides together. So it was fantastic being able to have, Rebellion at Torque and Torque to be at Rebellion for both of these projects. It was great.
One of the things I kind of forget about collaboration brews is we just do it. And I had a friend say to me, well, why would you work with your competitor? Why would you show them your secrets?
Yeah. It's, and you know what? I've heard that too over the years. It's like, craft breweries are competitors. It's like the market is competitive. We're not competing against each other. We're competing against, let's face it, the macros, the multi-billions and the conglomerates and corporations that really control the industry. That's the competition. What we're doing is we're promoting and lifting up brands. You look at any of our breweries that we have, we're not full of automation. We're not full of computerization. You're full of hardworking individuals that want to learn and aspire and continue their career in this industry. And one day maybe doing what I had done, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and leave what you were doing to start your own. So the competition isn't there. The competition is the Frenemies, the teams that we're supporting over this next week, and just the competition against people that have a little too much money in the industry at play.
I know people are going crazy about the artwork. They love the gopher, they love the eagle, the banjo, all those little pieces. What did you guys think when we unveiled this? Because this is Joel Hustack.
You know what? We had seen sort of like the original iterations of the design work, and it suits this label so well. When you're able to turn the label around, you can see you go from, your aggression to your happiness, and that really emphasizes what this was all about. It emphasizes, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, we egg on each other all the time. We're neighbors, we're siblings, it just encompasses everything about Manitoba, Saskatchewan. It encompasses, the brewing industry. And for us, we loved it because this is something sort of outside of the realm that we normally do for any artwork. Because normally we're very, if you've seen any of the Torque artwork that we have, it's very sort of straightforward, laid out almost exactly the same all the time, just for, branding. So it was a really nice deviation from what we do normally. And it suited everything so nicely.
I note that you guys have a really strong brand identity. If I go walk into the cooler at the liquor store and I see a Torque beer from 12 feet away, 15 feet away, I'm like, that's a Torque beer. And I know it.
Yeah.
And we've kind of gone back and forth at Rebellion where we say we want to have that strong brand identity, but then one of us will have like this crazy, insane idea and we'll put out a beer with a label. And you wouldn't know it was Rebellion from 15 feet away until you got a little bit closer. But we're trying to be extra wacky or wild or grab your eye for that moment.
Oh, definitely. It's what they always say when you're trying to buy a house, it's about the curb appeal. And I totally agree. The artwork that's there, it stands out, and it's local artists that are doing it too, which is, it's absolutely amazing that we're bringing more locals into this. It's not something that that got exploded out. And that's what Rebellion is known for, right? It's seeing that amazing artwork and the depictions that are on the cans. That's what Rebellion is known for, and that is the curb appeal that they have. So I want to say that even if you're walking in, right away what is a Rebellion beer because of the artwork.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We had insane sales these last couple weeks. It's been nuts. We did an extra batch just because it was flying so fast. We're like, whoa, we might run out for the next football game.
Yeah, we kind of anticipated that too. We were able to do a little bit larger of a batch. We did a 3,000 liter batch on ours, and we were doing our inventory. It's September 7th now, so 7 days ago we did our inventory. And we're like, we're running a little low on this. The sales have been quite strong, and it's great. And you can also see it, as with the social media, the social media presence of people sharing, the images of the Frenemies, of what they're doing, if they're either watching the football game or out at the lake or going camping or doing whatever. There's been such a big influx of social media over this. It's been fantastic. So it's been selling quite well.
You guys are seeing a huge lift on your end for social?
Definitely. Yeah. We've been seeing a lot of stories. We've been sharing a lot of stories of people that are, especially this past weekend with the football game that we had on Sunday, which was in Regina. So we were seeing a lot of people watching the game out in their backyards or something and just tagging Torque saying, I'm having a Frenemies right now. It was fantastic.
That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah.
So do you think it'll last maybe to the end of October? You think it's flying pretty quick?
I think it's flying pretty quick. In the warehouse here, I think before the game, the Banjo Bowl starts this weekend, I think it'll be out of the warehouse. I know we're going to have probably a couple of the bigger beer stores here pick up sort of whatever's left so that they know that they have it. And our liquor marts here have picked up a good stock of it. So I have a feeling by the end of this week, the stock I have here will be gone, and then the stores will slowly peter out. And they might be sold out before the weekend. Who knows? The Banjo Bowl's coming up.
It's wild, man. We see beers move fast, and I think one of our fastest beers has sold out in about 3 days. And so for us to double batch this thing and to almost run out before we even get past the football game that it's a kind of like an homage to is kind of funny.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great feeling. And it just shows being able to do a collaboration like this and how people have responded to it. It's an amazing feeling, as being one of the co-founders and owners, is knowing that, people especially after the past 2 years, they're completely right back into it. And it's like, what's new? What do you have? And they get right on board with it, and it's fantastic.
After Frenemies is done, after we get through this kind of busy season of the next few weeks, what's next for Torque?
Oh, for us, we're always on a sort of like a quarterly basis, right? We're going through seasonals and everything like that. We have 2 new seasonals coming out. One is Manitoba Mutts. It's a brown ale. We're bringing back Diesel Fitter, which is one of our original core beers, and we kind of dropped it. I want to say about 2 years ago. It's an American style stout, and so it's got almost the same amount of bitterness as you'd find in IPA. So higher BU, lots of aromatic hops in it, but it's also got that heavier alcohol back note, very dark, heavy roasted. So we kind of wanted to bring it back for cooler months, so that will be making its debut again. Manitoba Mutts is coming out. We got a couple sort of fundraiser style beers in support of a local artist. We got one for JP Ho coming out. It's our Botanicals beer. So we got a couple of these little seasonals that are going to be coming up for end of September, beginning of October, and they'll be all the way available until about December. And then December we're going to change again because let's get through the cold months and let's go straight to spring, right? Let's get the stuff out. And then also, like, we have our witching hour coming out. So this is always a fun one. It's our pumpkin ale. Everyone's just like, pumpkin spice latte coffees are coming back. So, it's our pumpkin spice beer. It's always sold strong. It's got a good sort of support backing. So that one's going to be available coming up at the end of September as well. So, and then 2023, like we were talking about, it's looking at new ingredients, signing some agreements to make sure we procure enough grains for the next coming year, enough hops and everything like that. So really we're going to sit down, we're going to start planning all the new beers that we want to come out with in the next, next year, 2023.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. As the brewery, I remember 6 years ago when we were just focused on 4 beers. We only had 4 tanks. 4 beers is all we could do. We had 2 employees, me and Perry. And it was just 10 hours a day, just keep making the beer go. And then as you slowly grow, it's like, hey, we got to start thinking about more and more stuff. So yeah, 6 years, you fast track it 6 years. And it's like, well, now you're doing this, 6 to 8 months in advance to make sure that you have everything. Everyone knows what's going on. And you're just always thinking about the future.
I love it, man. I think the future for you guys sounds pretty good.
It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting. Running a brewery is one of those things where even your day-to-day plans, they tend to never work out. You just kind of go with the flow. It deviates and it's like, all right, and we're going in that direction. Let's go with it. Let's make the day work.
Well, thank you for your time today, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to coming back out to Regina and seeing all the Rebellion folk again and, having a couple beers.
Rebels, thanks for listening today. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, be sure to join us on our brand new Facebook group page, the Rebellion Brewing Podcast. I'm going to include links to all things Torque in the show notes. Be sure to check them out. I'm also proud to let you know that we're members of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. It's a one-stop shop for tons of locally produced shows from across our province. You can find them at saskpodcastnetwork.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Untapped so you don't miss out on the latest in Sask craft beer news. Thank you for joining the Rebellion.